Nigeria's 2023 general elections, if you like, irregular seizing elections, may have come and gone. The issues after or out of the elections will linger in Nigeria's political landscape for a very long time. Adamawa was one state in the eye of the storm, the course of the elections, as supplementary elections were held. The drama of declaration of results while collation was ongoing put the state in the spotlight, as Nigerians trying to find out how the state arrived at a point where some results or announcements would be made while collation was in progress. Weeks later, the state is now facing what will be not a transition, but then a continuation of governance for Gov Fintiri as the chief executive of the state. What are the things that have happened? What are the things going into that May 29 date for the governor post-elections? We'll be talking to someone who was very much at the center of that drama, talking from the collation center where the state was almost plunged into trouble before INEC decided to conclude its own collation exercise and results were announced. I have the SSA to the state governor, Gov Fintiri. We're calling him coming all the time again.
That's right. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome to Sunday Life.
My pleasure.
Let's start from what didn't look so funny, but quite funny at the time. Share Allah, which became more like a slogan or a tag,
yes. Yes.
What was going through your mind at the time you were making those that passionate appeal?
Well, I must be very sincere that I was kind of, luckily, years back, I've always been one person that has been regular in virtually almost 3-4 collations of gubernatorial elections and also presidential. And I've come to realize that naturally it is always, whenever there is a gap, there's always a tendency of things either going wrong, you understand, or maybe people become a little bit offended by actions. So to my greatest surprise, I never expected what happened this time around to be that bad. An abuse of a democratic system, an abuse of procedural systems, an abuse of administrative systems by persons that should assume the position of being learned, having the right information on how the procedures and processes of electoral process should be, like hoodoo. And so when it was unbecoming, because when we were on that day, if you notice, the first statement I made was, where is the returning officer? Was the first question I asked him. And when he was still trying to go ahead to start, I now said, and again, we had an agreement, because that night, the agreement was that, and the same man that came at that hour was the one that said, let's take a break to reconvene by 11 a.m. was the same man that came to that same vicinity, that came to that same collation center at that early hour and was about to perpetrate the evil under the sun that the whole world. That's why I'm a little bit disappointed at Ahmed Sajo, who is, when the whole world is distancing themselves from such a perpetuated evil, Ahmed Sajo is still going around writing things, trying to promote such. But I must say that I'm not surprised when you see people that don't understand that moral values at times has to be something that we portray to this generation.
This sound like a personal attack on him, don't you think?
No, I don't think it's a personal attack, because let's be sincere, even the consulate and those that were deceived or cajoled, you understand, to either congratulate this woman who of course went ahead, who knows the law, went ahead to give an acceptance speech, which means it was more or less a coordinated attempt to commit a civilian coup, which the whole world has risen to say no. This is an abuse of system. And now, getting to a point whereby I expect, to be sincere, I expect an apology. That was the first thing I expected. Because when this saga started, the first thing that occurred was when this same particular person now came to our situation room, though they apologized after discovering that they erred. But is that apology enough? We overlooked it. When the saga of the same hoodoo saying that, yes, even on camera, that yes, he said that Ameke Martin, how many Martin now were in the gubernatorial election? That yes, he said it, but he said Martin, how many, you understand? So when you hear all these things and you bring them together, it tells you that there was a coordinated attempt. And these were the things that made me to say, in as much as there's a breach of the constitutional provision and the Electoral Act as amended, we discovered that it was gone beyond a sane man acting. He was acting as someone that needed an immediate psychological, I don't know which word to classify the kind of treatment that hoodoo needed. Because you can't derail so low. And that's why I must say that this is the president that we should not allow for any reason. Yes, we are moving on. Yes, His Excellency the Governor of Adamawa State has moved on with governance. But that doesn't mean that we should allow such evil perpetrated that put the lives and property of Adamawa State indigents and visitors in Adamawa State at risk. Because their actions created an atmosphere that would have triggered a kind of a bomb within Adamawa State. But the governor kept calling, calm down. But let me tell you one thing that surprised me. His Excellency at every point in time would always say, no, the right thing will be done. When the first issue came up, he said, no, the right thing will be done. When the audio case was on, he said, don't worry, forget about all these attempts that the people have spoken and their choice has already been made. So they're right. So when he kept on saying that, I was saying that if I can ever have a leader that I will serve like Governor Gov Fintiri 1,000 times, to be sincere, put aside any benefits for posterity, I will comfortably serve him. And that's why I raised my voice and I told Hoodoo, fear the Almighty God. And my mind told me that this man might not even understand what I'm saying. Speak to him in Hausa. You understand? That's why I now said, Kaji Sorong Allah. Fear God, because this is the month of Ramadan. A month that you're supposed to be kind of carrying on your rituals, your religious rites. And you are here seated, Hoodoo, an elderly man, abusing the system without the fear of God before the whole world and the international community. And they were watching. And that was why at that point in time, the whole world stood still and said they will never allow such evil go on in Adamawa State.
No, I'm not talking about appealing to the conscience of the man who was, because a lot of drama ensued. We did see an acceptance speech being read by a serving senator of the Federal Republic while the process was still, ongoing. Then, after all of that, they were back and forth as to whether Hoodoo is an official of INEC. Yes, as a reg, he's an official at INEC, but not the returning officer. Now, I haven't appealed to his conscience. Anything could have happened. He could have said, no, I'm not accepting this. Yes, I'm going to go to this. What went through your mind after the appeal?
Well, the truth was...
After he left?
Yes, the truth is that I have a postgraduate degree also in public administration. Luckily, that's one of the opportunities I've had in training myself to this point. And I know definitely that, you see, the Constitution is made in such a way that when you are interpreting the Constitution, you should have an understanding that it's expected that most of the administrative functions in the Constitution as provided would be applied on the basis of the profession in which it is being applied. For example, when a lawyer goes to court, for example, on a rape case, the lawyer being a lawyer is not the one that will ascertain whether there was sperm on the woman's listing. He has to consult the professionals in that field to give him a medical report that they have run this test on this person and make a statement on that.
Needs evidence.
Evidence. So also, when I think probably maybe because he's a lawyer, he forgot that there are administrative functions that are in that particular interpretation. You understand? That you must have the hierarchy transfer, delegation of authority down to you. You understand? And in the same process, it is the same pattern in which at the top, it moved from the top to the bottom. And the same administrative function that provides for that in that constitution was what gave birth to the authority and to that class of review that permits and grants every authority to INEC to make sure it reviews anything that is breaching the Constitution and the Electoral Acts. And that was exactly what saved the day. Now, let me say this. When you have someone who claims to be a lawyer and is unable to understand the operands of these things, he gets into blunders and it catches up with him. And that is exactly why I knew that it was not going to fly. From day one, even before that day, I posted something on my social media when people were saying that, oh, collation will not do this. I said, these are administrative things. They must take place. It must occur this way. These are things that must be followed before a conclusion is come to. You can never stop a collation midway. Who are you? No matter who you are, even the system will fight you. This was the system that rose to fight Hudu and the cohorts. You see, so when you have such a situation, you go to sleep.
I listened to the governor in his speech after, he was declared winner and everything. He did say, well, yeah, it is happening at Adama, then the state government will definitely try to see how to prosecute or institute, because it will get it. Has anything been done in that direction to go after all those who might be behind this?
So some days ago, the IGP also sent his team on the same investigation. Now, it's all in line with what the state expects. And the major reason is this crime was committed within Adamawa State. And to be sincere, I expect the House also to sit on this issue, because you do not allow such perpetrations to go on under your watch in your state. An abuse of system, an abuse of legality, trying to truncate a process. My brother, let me be very sincere with you. We have children that are growing up and watching these things. When you have people that believe that they can, just because they have certain persons out there, just come and say, okay, declare me, and no matter what will happen, let Adamawa catch fire.
No, let's not use that. You said declare me. Nobody.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Okay, nobody. I'm saying. I'm talking about we. Okay. You understand? Imagine such a situation.
The governor, the candidate of the APC, distance herself.
No, that's what I'm not talking about her now.
All right.
We're not talking about her. We're saying that what kind of president are we trying to say? That means somebody tomorrow can just come up and say, declare me. Is that the kind of a country we want to live in? So, we have to nip it on the board right now, because it is gradually degenerating to that kind of a state. So that is the major reason why when you see such violations taking place, you must rise to it. And the state, of course, you see, you might have said you have done all these things as the Hudu and his cohorts, whoever, because they are being investigated right now. Now, they might think that they were doing it to Governor Fintiri. It's not Governor Fintiri. You were fighting the system, because Governor Fintiri was now in election, not with a candidate, but by an organized team that were prepared to actualize certain things. And that's why I was very unhappy when we were in that place. And I was even pointing at the CP, I said, will you allow this? Will you allow this happen under your watch? I'm a trained security personnel before I left. And if I was the one, I would have arrested that man at that point in time.
Well, but he's supposed to give protection to...
Protection to illegality? You don't give protection to someone who is breaching the Constitution and the law, because in the first place, as a security personnel, you already know the processes and the stages that this thing was supposed to take from here to here to here. So if you know these things and you discover somebody is trying to truncate it,
are you aware that we do have very senior lawyers in court right now?
Yes.
Talking about the actions of Hudu, whether he's an INEC official or Hishu. Are you aware of that?
Well, it's going on. It's in process. It's a process. It's on. It's on. And that's why I said that when you have people that misunderstand how these things are, you allow a kangaroo mindset to direct your actions. But I thank God that the right thing has been done. But it's time to move on. Like I said, the governor has moved on. The governor he was out there, if you must have seen some of his pictures, where he was deliberating on very important issues. You understand, how to move governance. You see, when you have
I remember before the elections, several times, I kept talking about the impact of the candidate of the APC, but most of you in the PDP waved it off. But
can I be sincere?
I bet you the candidate gave you a good fight.
Sir, I will be sincere with you.
Didn't she?
You see, when you consider some of the happenings, and then you ask yourself, if a rec can call a returning officer to say, assist a particular candidate by all means, can you call me the Zakayi Katameke Matanan? That tells you that every other vote that someone like that got is questionable. How are you sure that this same man did not call all others returning officers that they should have manipulated to still favor this same woman in other areas?
That is subject to investigation.
That is being investigated. Okay. But don't forget that you have him confess that he did it. So that alone tells you that Governor Fintiri did not contest against anyone who has the capacity on the basis of what we have seen.
But you may be saying it now that the elections, because
I told you from the beginning.
I know. I told you, I was on the field. I went to several places. Yes. I saw a lot of the elections, and a lot of people. Supported the candidate.
Okay. You see, that's exactly why I was saying that I'm disappointed in Sajo trying to now create a victim attitude towards the same person. This was the same person that boasted and bragged, and she's now saying she's a victim. This was the same person that said wuja wuja is now saying that she's a victim. This was the same person that says no matter what will happen. And the same Sajo has forgotten. I don't know whether he has lost his memory.
Please,
of all these things.
That's not allowed. That's not allowed.
I am not using any aggressive word. I'm being sincere. I said I don't know whether he has lost his memory of that statement.
Losing the memory is not allowed. Using that's not allowed.
My brother, when I say loss of memory, I mean in terms of the content of what she said. Is it not on the media space? Sajo heard it. He watched her say wuja wuja. So has he forgotten, or maybe he just decided to turn the... I don't understand. So when you listen to, and then apart from that, the international community have distanced themselves. A lot of them have been saying that they don't understand the rationale behind her making an acceptance speech. These are things that conscience...
As a serving senator.
You as a serving senator. So these are the reasons why Nigerians are saying that no, the same no I used to... But it's the truth. It's serving senator that knows the constitution, that knows most of the laws and acts that have been provided,
and the passage of the
electoral law, and was scrutinized and read in their midst. First reading, second, and you understand. And then she went ahead to make an acceptance speech. Illegality. And you went ahead to do it. You see, if she were in the military, she would have been court-martialed by now.
Let's leave. We're in the civilian...
Right, that's what I'm saying. Does that mean that because we're in a democratic dispensation, people will now violate what they know?
What you're saying now is that this government, whether before May 29th or after May 29th, will investigate and...
Investigation is ongoing. Investigation is ongoing because the IGP has made it very clear that they are not stopping. So it is beyond... maybe trying to be sympathetic or trying to say, okay, the governor should overlook things.
What does it say to your government?
Yes.
Because you have those who are supposed to be in charge of security seated at that meeting, and nothing really happened at the time these decisions were, or pronouncements were made, and then they shielded Hudu out of the meeting and took him away, protected him.
Nigerians will not go to sleep until those security men that were seated there. Sir, it's not only Adamawa. I said Nigeria as a whole are still calling, and this thing will be on until those men are brought to book. They should not escape it. You don't put on the uniform and abuse the system. You cannot do that and get away with it. That's why I'm saying that there are some martial laws, if it were in the military, that by now those men will be faced with. But now that the investigation is still ongoing, I want to assure Nigerians that they should not panic. That it will not end.
That sounds more like a political cliche.
No, my brother, it will not end. No, it will not end because we have to move forward, sir. And in moving forward is making sure that the system begins to catch up with those that think that they are bigger than the system. My father was also a top military man. And I know what they did during the Civil War, coming on to make Nigeria as one. And then I see some men today in uniform allowing themselves to allow such things slip away.
May 29 is just 3 weeks away.
It's unfortunate.
Gov Fintiri is back.
Wow.
What's happening now up to May 29?
The father of the land, that's what I call him. A young governor, but we call him daddy. You know why we call him daddy? The wisdom this man has. In all that happened, in the whole saga, he was still saying, calm down. You know, if someone like myself, or, will be tensed up, he was still saying, calm down, the right thing will be done. Now, 29th May is already at the corner. I'm assuring Adamawa people that he has already moved on. He had his blueprints before now. And you see, that's the beautiful thing about having a man who understands governance.
Now, well, I'm asking maybe specifically, let me put it this way. You have, you can't call it transition, it's the same government just going for a second term. But there's something...
There's a swearing in that is
swearing in and then transiting from the first, the transiting from the first tenure to the second tenure.
Yes.
But it's not transition in the sense of transition of change of government.
That's right.
Now, it's a continuation of a process. Now, something like this has happened. And then you have people from the APC. He's not governor of PDP. He's governor of everyone in Adamawa State. Has he tried to extend the olive branch to those, particularly in the APC? Because these kinds of things happen and then people are hurt. Whether we like it or we don't like it, whether you like it or you don't like it, or your party likes it or does not like it, APC garnered hundreds of thousands of votes across Adamawa State. Martin Nang had genuine followers across the state, whether you want to argue that or not. Lots of persons came out and voted. Is anything being done to try to reach out to these people?
What I discovered before you even get to that point is that the people instead were awakened to the fact that they were cajoled blindly. Why did I say that? That's why we keep telling people, if you have a political career, be very careful how far you push. Because when you push too far, the little Ghana you've gotten, you discover that you will destroy it by your desperation or by your actions and inactions. Now, what she has done, the few that were initially sympathetic with her.
Hundreds of thousands, not a few.
No, when you start...
300,000.
My brother, how many people do we have in Adamawa? How many people do we have in Adamawa?
How many people would
when you check the population fraction of what she has, you still call them few. Because the population of Adamawa is about 10 times more than what voted.
And now,
so now on that basis,
if you take it that way,
wait, now don't analyze the general scores. Whatever you want to agree to her.
We're looking at the votes.
Okay, agree to her whatever you want.
If you score 390,000.
Okay, agree to her the votes you are saying.
I'm not agreeing. These are facts.
Okay, these are facts that you have, but facts that are questionable because from what that Rex said that he was doing Tameke Matandang. So let's put that aside. Okay, now so
are you extending the olive branch?
That's olive branch. Let me tell you.
Handling those who do not agree with you. Or who
let me tell you the truth. Those that you still did not agree are the ones saying that they are sorry for what happened. I'm being sincere with you. The APC members are the ones saying that they never knew that this was how bad the situation was going to be. And to be sincere, they have opened up. They have quite a good number of them. To be sincere, they have opened up. And my office is the Office of Social Mobilization. Lord, I've been calling and saying, "Hi, you understand?" Trying to express that they never expected that such an event would take place. And again, most of them were like, it was during their fasting period, and they were so disappointed that there were people that wanted to desecrate the fasting period with such anomalies and things that were not holy. So with that, they were very sympathetic, because if you consider it, Governor Fintiri is a Muslim, a wonderful Muslim. She's also a Muslim, and it was a period that each person, you understand, should have been extending, that period, emotions of that season. You understand? And then afterwards, the people are now saying that, they wish it never happened. And so with that, I must tell you that Governor Gov Fintiri has moved on. Because with all that happened, the people turned around, even those that were supporting her, to say, Kai, they are sorry. And I must say that we are humans. It has happened. We're going to, in short, they have only succeeded in disgracing themselves and not the followers. Because the followers are ready to move on in Adamawa State. And we are moving on, but that doesn't mean
what are the implications of this for Nigerian politics? Because it is indeed a watershed, something proportions we've never seen before. We've had cases of elections being rigged in states. We've had cases of elections being manipulated or outcomes being changed or torture. We have cases, even the cases all currently ongoing. We have the tribunals for the National Assembly elections, presidential elections, and even across the states. Particularly for the national elections, tribunals have been inaugurated, cases have been filed, and this one is a watershed. And looking at it, it happened here in Adamawa. What can Nigerians learn from this?
Well, I think what we've learned is that no one will get away with evil, because had it been succeeded, that's the end.